Hello and welcome to group coaching tonight for the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. Our topic for the evening is officially called Motivate from the Bottom, but I actually like to rephrase this as managing up. I think that just sounds a little bit more true to my experience, and so that's how I'm going to frame this, the conversation that we're going to have tonight. I want to set the stage, as I often do, with something kind of thought-provoking. So tonight, I want to start with a quote from Simon Sinek. It says, "Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those who are in your charge." So I really like that. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. He was the guy that did one of the very early on first TED Talks, literally standing in front of a giant piece of Post-it paper, drawing on it with a circle, the golden circle, which later turned into the conversation about starting with why and the book and, really his whole business consulting life. Um, by the way, speaking of Simon Sinek, he did his very first ever product collaboration recently with a luggage company. And he's not like one of those guys that co-brands a bunch of different products and you're like not sure if they're any good. He's pretty discerning. So I'll share that this luggage company is kind of cool. It's made 100% of recyclable materials, and it has one of those like inserts where you can like lift it up and hang it in the closet, and it like unpacks all your stuff, and then it like squeezes all together. So kind of cool. So not really, you know, like a work related thing, but I will share that I think this is a really cool product, and I actually just ordered the backpack that he made called the Optimist. Um, the Optimist backpack. And it's by the company called SoulGuard. So anyways, I'm going to share you guys with this link. I'm not like an ambassador or anything, but I think it's really cool. Sorry about that. Okay, hang on. I will find the link. Oh, that's not it. Optimist. All right, well, you have to hunt for it, but I'll put it in the chat so you guys have it. So there you go. Simon Sinek. Gotta love him. Good guy. Okay. Also, I have a movie reference because you guys know I like big movie references. I think a lot of you guys have seen the older movie. I can't believe it's an older movie now. It's called The Devil Wears Prada. But there's the Miranda Priestley character, who's the boss. And when this young girl starts working for her, she just can't seem to like do anything right. And even though she tries, but she finally finds some success when she starts being proactive and managing up. Um, it's how she's like thriving in these different situations. So like every morning, Miranda Priestley, the boss character, expects her to hang up her purse and her coat and have her coffee ready and have her lunch order ready and have her car brought around. And, it's not until the young character starts figuring out how to be proactive and how to managing up that she starts doing well at her job. So those are some of the mindset pieces that I want you guys to have tonight as we dive into this. So, it's definitely not about, just in case there was any like misperception, it's not about subservience. It's not about like being an order taker all the time. It's about supporting the leadership that you're in partnership with insight, with strategic thinking, and strengthening the teamwork and the team as a whole. So as a lot of you are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, I also want to like take a moment to say that like managing up might seem less relevant to you at this exact moment because maybe you don't have a boss, right? Maybe you don't have somebody that you're managing up to. But in this context, it can mean being proactive with your key stakeholders. Maybe it's your clients, maybe it's your investors, maybe it's your vendors, or even like your own process to ensure that like operations are going smoothly. So if you're going to be managing up as a solo entrepreneur, that could mean that maybe you're going to be anticipating the needs of your clients. So maybe they have like monthly milestones or monthly promotions or, reporting or, something where you can have some foresight and you're like, oh, well, I knew that this time of year was coming or this time of the month was coming. I knew this had to get done and I wanted to get a jump on it, like showing them, leading them, leading your clients, leading your vendors, leading the people that you're working with. This also could be offering solutions. So if you foresee a potential delay, maybe you're getting ready to deliver, I don't know, in my world, like we're working on some business cards for a client when she wants them by next Monday in New York. Well, she had a last minute change today, so it's going to be impossible to deliver these and have this special gold foil printed on this special soft touch paper and have it all done in a week. So we just have to say, hey, listen, like we foresee there's going to be a delay on this because of your last minute change. Like, just don't want you to be surprised later. That's another example of managing up, but doing it, to your client. Now, in this case, we can offer a solution, like we can have rush shipping. It's just going to cost you more. How important is this last minute adjustment, right? So just give the people that you work with, give them options, maybe have a backup plan. It just shows that you are on top of the projects and that you're ready to kind of handle things proactively and that you have the professional excellence and expertise to handle these things as they come up. So it shows that you are really good at your job too. So you can anticipate the needs, or if there's going to be issues, you can offer solutions or just be transparent about potential delays or things that you are seeing that might be problematic. Also make sure the third tip in this little section is to communicate with purpose. So, um, a lot of times my clients, when they talk with me, they want to chat. And okay, fine. Like I'm happy to listen if they want to just chit chat. But when I want to talk to them, it's not my job to chit chat. It's my job to be brief, be relevant, be actionable, be respectful of their time, be respectful of their email box. So I had this client for many years. It was a big pizza company, and there was a lot going on with this restaurant in terms of like promotions and incentives and franchisee people and all these different things going on all the time. Well, I could have flooded the client's inbox with 40 emails a day with all these different things. But instead, we agreed proactively that in order to be the most productive, she wanted a summary email at the end of every day. She wanted that summary email to say, like, okay, these are the things that are going on. This is what I need. This is what was done, and this is what you can anticipate for tomorrow. So that way, if she got anything more than that, she knew it was going to be a rush. She knew it was going to be important. So make sure that you're communicating with purpose or following up with purpose. If you really need something on a deadline or you've set a deadline and they're not getting back with you, follow up, so that they don't miss something. So for example, I have a client that wanted a press release to go out. Well, the best day to execute a press release is on a Tuesday morning, East Coast time. All right, well, they needed to approve it by Friday afternoon. So here we are, we sent it to them on Tuesday. And then we asked for their feedback by Wednesday or Thursday. Well, here was Friday and they hadn't gotten back to us yet. Not because they didn't want the press release to go out, just because it got buried. They had other things that they were dealing with. So it was a good time for us to communicate with purpose and reach out. It wasn't a burden, but it was making sure they didn't miss a deadline. So you're anticipating the needs of your client. And just because you send something off doesn't mean that it's off of your to-do list. It's still your to-do list item, even if you've sent it over for somebody else to take their next action. It's your job to make sure that they actually take the action. It's sort of like the example of like a secretary who schedules a meeting for their boss, right? Well, the boss may or may not remember to show up for that meeting. It's still the assistant's job to get that person up off their desk and make sure that they make it to the meeting, right? Or make sure that they leave on time. Oh, there's going to be traffic. Oh, you make sure you leave on time, right? That's when the job is done. So hang on, I have to turn this red light off. It's making a weird glare. Yeah. All right. All right. So I really like red light therapy as like part of my health and wellness journey. And I have one that's near my desk that provides ambient light most of the day, and it's not normally an issue, but as it's starting to get a little dark, it was looking really Halloween spooky. So anyways, turn that off. Okay. All right. So back to where was I? Oh, all right. Some actionable things. That's where we were. All right. So we just talked about 3 things that you can do as a solo entrepreneur, which is anticipating needs. And this can be relevant to your clients or your vendors. It doesn't have to be employee to employee. We also talked about how you can offer solutions, and how you can propose backup plans. And we also talked about how to communicate with purpose to make sure that everybody is moving things forward. All right. Now, I want to get into 5 things. And this is 5 action items for managing up. So, and some of this is going to be a little bit of a repeat, but I feel like the order and the context is different. So it's worth talking about again. Now, this could be as an employee, or it could be with a client, or it could be with your spouse. I mean, it could be with your sisters or brothers and, grandparents. It doesn't matter. But it's about being proactive. And I really like this one because it shows that you're thoughtful and that you're thinking ahead. And being proactive instead of reactive is so important. It tells people, if you're not being, you don't wait to be told. You anticipate the needs and you act accordingly. This is so simple, but so hard to do. This could be everything from, hey, I took out the trash because I knew the trash truck was going to be coming tomorrow. Or it could be like, I got the birthday present because I knew your birthday was coming next week. It's like being one step ahead sometimes is more meaningful to people, rather than like, oh, I forgot, here's your card late, or, oh crap, I'm taking out the trash cans, like as the trash truck is coming, right? Like, hi, welcome. Yeah. So we're just talking about the importance of being proactive, not reactive, as it comes to managing up. So that is where you are joining.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So, the second thing that we're talking about with these key action items for managing up is to communicate with clarity and purpose. So using clear and direct communications to make your point. So this could be like the example I gave earlier, and maybe it's a regular update. So for example, hang on a second. Okay, gotta meet you. This could be like the client that I was mentioning, where I'm like, every day at the end of the day, she knew she would get a recap email from me of like what was achieved, what is still needed, what's coming tomorrow. She could expect those things to be organized and concise so that she was set up for success, because that made her look good. So how can you make the people around you show up their best? This could mean monthly analytics and reports. This could mean being transparent about what's going on with your business. This could be, being respectful of your team's time. Like if you have a weekly status meeting with your team, or do you have an agenda? Are you prepared in advance for this meeting? Have you thought through what does a successful meeting look like? When I used to work at Saatchi, I was learning and I was younger in my career, and my boss would always ask me before I went into any big meeting, what does success look like? What are you hoping to achieve? You're going into this meeting with your superiors at this agency and the client. What are you asking for? Be very clear. We would always put agendas together, and the agenda would always say exactly what the purpose was. This is what we hope to achieve. This is the things we need to cover, and then next steps. So having an agenda, thinking it through, being proactive about that is going to make a difference, whether it's managing up to your boss, or it's managing up to your clients or your investors, or, the other key stakeholders in your business. So the third one is aligning your goals with those that are quote unquote like above you, or that are your clients. So make sure that your work is up to the standards that everyone around you needs it to be. And if you're in a startup, this could mean focusing on revenue generating activities, or supporting your business goals instead of procrastinating. A lot of the times I talk with like businesses that are, pre-launch that haven't officially started yet. And they're so distracted by all of the different things that need to get done. They're forgetting the number one, really only thing that matters is revenue generation at that stage. So it doesn't matter if your logo is perfect or your brand guidelines is done, or, if you don't have any clients, then I use the analogy, it's like throwing a party and you're not inviting anyone. It's like you do all this legwork to get everything ready and like you have no clients. So you have no business if you don't have clients. So focus on that first. So make sure you're aligning your time and your goals with whether the people you're working with or the clients. And that is very important. All right. So the fourth one is offering solutions, not just problems. So this takes me back to Saatchi days as well. I used to go into my boss's office. I can't believe I used to do this in my 20s. I'd go into my boss's office and I'd be like, I have all these problems. He would look at me like, not my problem, not my sink, not my dishes. He's like, don't ever come back to me with another problem again. You have to come back to me with a solution. You have to give me ideas or brainstorms or possible ways forward. Don't just give me the problem. So it shows good problem solving skills. It reinforced the trust that they had in me and my ability to handle difficult situations. And this could be everything from, hey, we're filming a $10 million commercial for NASCAR and Tony Stewart just drove his truck into the, side of the wall. It's like, okay, well, all right, what's it going to cost? How are you going to fix it? What are we going to do? So little problems, big problems, you got to have solutions for whether it's your team members or for your bosses or your clients. All right. Practice empathy. I feel like this one is tough. As a leader in your business, as a leader with your staff and with your clients, there's a lot of stress that comes with this line of work. Being an entrepreneur, that stomach flip, nobody can really appreciate it unless you've been through it. That gut twisting tightness when you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make payroll, or I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage, right? Like, or I don't know how to make my car payment. Like these are real concerns. But don't let them overshadow what you're doing or the bigger picture. And don't let any of that show to the people who work for you or to your clients. Like, this is the community and group where you can talk about that, but publicly, like you can't do that. So as part of managing up means keeping it together and knowing the time and the place to vent or to be insecure versus the time and the place to act like you got a handle on everything. So just to recap, our 5 key action items for managing up is one is to be proactive, not reactive. And we like that for our work and for our personal lives. The second one is to be communicating with clarity and purpose. And the third was to align goals with the people who are above and around you. The fourth is to offer solutions, not just problems. The fifth is to practice empathy and emotional intelligence. And this is a good spot for me to kind of pause because I want to talk about, it's a little pivot for the night, but I want to talk about emotional intelligence. I recently was giving a presentation and I used the term emotional intelligence. This was in my women's business development organizations. And a couple of weeks later, we had a whole hour-long presentation on emotional intelligence because everyone was so fascinated with what is emotional intelligence? How do you manage emotional intelligence? And so I'm going to share some of that with you guys because I feel like if that group didn't know, this group also might not know. But if you really want to like summarize emotional intelligence, it's the ability to like sense and understand, manage and communicate and have control over your own emotions, right? Your rational part of the brain. Having emotional intelligence is having control over your emotions. It's basically being able to say like, you have enough self-awareness. That's emotional intelligence. So, I have a fun exercise for anybody who's here. I will put the link in the quiz in the chat. But if you're not here, I'll share it in the group texting chat. But this is you can print this out or you can do it online. But there's 15 questions and you answer from on the sliding scale from never all the way through up to very often. And depending on the number that you get, then you add all the answers up. And it asks really interesting questions like, I can recognize my emotions as I experiencing them, or I lose my temper when I feel frustrated. But based on your answers and how it adds up, the second few pages, second and third pages, tell you what your score is. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of nice to have a quiz. And then the third page in this PDF actually gives you an action plan template where you can brainstorm actions that you can take to increase your emotional intelligence. So we just are sharing about this quiz and I just put the link. So in case anybody wants to check that out. So emotional intelligence, good times. All right. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. There was something else I wanted to talk about here. Oh, the 3-sentence pitch. So I also have, in addition to the quiz, there's also this exercise to practice managing up. So here's a little bit of a challenge. It's kind of a take-home thing. It's not really homework, but it's something to try. Every time you have to communicate an idea or a suggestion or a concern to, whether it's to the leadership that you work with or to your clients that you work with or your spouse who you're trying to get something like to go your way on, try the 3-sentence pitch. Okay, so the 3-sentence pitch is you state the context. Number 2, you describe your main point. And number 3, you propose a next step or an alternative or to that. So it's like, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want or what my concern is. And then this is my next step. So try the 3, and I will put this in the chat too. All right. So this is the 3-sentence pitch. All right. The 3-sentence pitch. And see, I'd be very curious if this makes an impact on any of the different types of conversations and outcomes that you guys end up having with the people that you're interacting with, interengaging with. I know in the beginning we talked about Simon Sinek, and you guys know all about Start With Why. I talk about that all the time. But he also wrote another TED Talk that was called Why Good Leaders Make You Feel Safe. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying about emotional intelligence and being able to like stay, practicing empathy and making sure that like you don't overshare at the wrong time with the wrong group. So Why Good Leaders Make You Feel Safe is a good one to take a listen to. And then I also wanted to share the book Leaders Eat Last is another one that some people like it, some people don't, but I think it has some good points in it. Now, the next 2 are really just sales books, but I really think that when you're talking about managing up, it's the same as anytime you're trying to sell an idea or a concept to anybody. It's really about selling, right? Like I use the analogy all the time. Like sometimes I have to sell my kids on the idea that brushing their teeth is a good idea before bed. Sometimes I have to sell the dog on it's a good idea to come back after she goes to the bathroom. She doesn't want to just go run down the neighborhood. So like you're always like selling an idea and trying to like communicate and get people to go your way on things. So if you haven't read The Way of the Wolf, it was the book that the Wolf of Wall Street guy wrote. I thought that was a really good sales book. And it's not like the movie story. It's literally a sales book, like tools. And then the other book, I just got this in the mail today and it was recommended by a client of mine. So I don't know if it's good or not, but I know it's been around a long time. So I imagine it's probably good. And it's called Seducing Strangers, How to Get People to Buy What You're Selling. And The Little Black Book of Advertising Secrets. I feel like this is right up my alley. I don't know how I've been in this business for so long and not read this book. So I will definitely be reading this one, and I can tell you guys what my takeaways are later. But I try to do the 10 pages a day thing, probably left over from my 75 hard experience. So that is my goal for that. All right, now we're a small mighty group tonight. I think it would be good if everybody has an opportunity to share an experience or a challenge that they faced when trying to manage up, or to take the initiative with leadership, and how that went for them. So I don't know, Jim, if you want to go first.
The story that jumps to mind for me was a while ago, but kind of in my younger days of project managing, we had an incident go awry with the recording session, and I knew the person that I reported to, or who the stakeholder responsible for it, was notorious for, I guess, berating employees, being very hard, very difficult to deal with. And my boss at the time says, listen, go in, knock the knife out of her hand first. Go in with the solution, hit her with it's resolved, and here's what we did. And then back into here's what went wrong, here's why, and here's what we're going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I could see when I went in, she was just primed and ready to go. And once the solution came out that everything was good, it was kind of a, well, okay, I guess I can't yell at you now. Um, and the rest of it went pretty smoothly from there. So that was kind of one of those things that here's exactly what you need to do. And when it worked, it became the, well, now I know what to do going forward. And coincidentally, I just saw a Chris Voss video today. He's the FBI negotiator, wrote Never Split the Difference. And his thing today was on buying a car. And he says, when I go in, I hit them with everything they're going to tell me first. So they have really nothing to say. Hey, I love this car. It's the only one of the lot. It's the only one in the region. I know I can't find another one like it. I know it's going to make me extremely happy, but I can't afford it. And he
Oh.
said, the guy looked at me and just blinked, and he's like, I'll be right back. He's like, he didn't know what to say. I basically took all the wind out of him. And he goes, I repeated that process 2 more times. And he's like, it was the easiest non-communicative negotiation I ever had, because the guy didn't know what to say. Basically, I used all his sales tactics against him, but coming at him with his own tactic, his own gotcha kind of way of selling, because he basically just disarmed him to the point where, because I didn't have to argue, I didn't have to get into the round back and forth with him. So it felt like those two kind of played together a little bit, in going at them with what they're not expecting, but the solution to start with.
Yeah, I like that solution. And then for sure, like that's critical. And then in the second one with the car sales guy, that kind of makes me think of like, even like, I don't know, there was this Eminem movie, 8 Mile,
Yeah,
back in the day when he
yep,
like had to stand up and rap for the first time, and he just like said everything that anyone could possibly say negative about himself, and then that guy had nothing else to say. He was like,
yeah.
oh, damn it. Like that.
Took my thunder.
Yeah, totally. I like that. I'm gonna remember that. Um,
Taylor, did you have enough time?
yeah.
Yeah, well, it just got me thinking about um I don't know, this and I've talked about it on here before. This phase of starting a business for me feels so uncomfortable. And I think when I dig really deep, some of it, honestly, to be transparent, comes from being a youngest child in a family of siblings that were much older than I was. Um, and sometimes I think a lot of things were done for me in a good way, but also in a way where I grow up and I I have trouble taking initiative sometimes with certain things, just because I'm like, how do I even do that? So, I recently I'm actually like walking through this situation. Sorry, loud noises in the background right now, where I have another commitment outside of my business that I really enjoy and I'm passionate about it. And I have been, looking ahead, like, how am I going to continue doing this? Um, and the person overseeing this particular situation, like in our communication, I noticed that while she's really not saying anything wrong, I am overthinking everything because I'm not used to taking initiative and saying, like, this is how it's going to be. I'm overthinking, like, oh, maybe she said that because she feels like I'm not capable of doing this or continuing on with what's in front of me. And I realized, honestly, just last week, like, I just need to simplify and take people for what they say. Like, I need to stop this like head game in my own mind. And literally, like, that was the word I had in my mind, was simplify. Like, just take what that person says, don't change it in your head in any way, and respond accordingly. So that's what I did. And then just today, I had a conversation where I was like, hey, just so you know, this is what I want. This is what I am available to do. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Let's do it. So anyway, it's a real life example outside of business, but it's teaching me so much about how to actually, probably part of it is starting a business is helping me understand that it is okay to just make a decision sometimes, you know? So anyway, that's my vulnerable share for the evening.
It's a good share. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think part of what is going to happen is you'll have over time develop more trust in yourself. And you're going to trust your gut instinct or your first instinct, or you're going to be like, well, last time I went this way and I learned that it was great, or I learned that it wasn't so great. Now I'm going to make the other decision. So, and you kind of learn like what questions to ask, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And then you're like, well, I don't want to decide because I feel like I'm missing something. So as you get more reps, you get more experience, you'll be more comfortable pulling the trigger on those things and
Totally.
leading.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for that encouragement.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's this quote from Steve Jobs. It says that management is about persuading people to do things that they don't want to do. But leadership is about inspiring people to do the things that they never thought that they could. So leadership is inspiring people to do things that they didn't even think that they could were possible. Right? So it's much more fun to be a leader than a manager. Manager is just about persuading somebody to do something. That's persuading my kids to brush their teeth. Leading is like, inspiring my daughter to apply to Yale because, I believe in her and I know that she can do it, so it's a little bit bigger, loftier, more fun stuff. All right. We talked about the 3-sentence pitch. We talked about emotional intelligence, which is great. We talked about the books. I'll do a quick recap for solopreneurs in case anybody is watching this later. So for solopreneurs, the three managing up bits was to anticipate needs of your clients, offer solutions to them, and to communicate with purpose. And then managing up in a team, it's about being proactive and not reactive. We also talked about the importance of that in our personal lives too, and it can be with our spouses or in our families. So trying to, work with people and anticipate proactively what would be meaningful. And number 2 would be to communicate with clarity and purpose. 3 is aligning your goals with those that are, above you or around you. Number 4 is back to this offering of solutions, not just problems. And number 5 is practicing empathy and our emotional intelligence, making sure that we have control over our thoughts and our feelings and the way that we respond to things. So I recently was studying the, because I love the study of psychology and sociology and, why people do what they do. And I was using this app, Human Design. I don't know if you guys have studied this at all yet, but with Human Design, for me, I'm the kind of person that, like, if I'm in a good mood, like, I'll say yes to like whatever it is, and if I'm in a bad mood, I'll say no to whatever it is. So the most powerful thing that I can do is always answer people. I'll sleep on it and then get back to them, because I need to give myself time to process what that feels like through different emotions. But that's just for me. Other people, I've heard, they trust their gut from the get-go and they're good to go. So everybody's different, but I think being on this journey, we all want to be pretty self-aware. We want to have high emotional intelligence. We want to be able to make good choices. So, practice empathy and emotional intelligence when you're making these types of managing up, when these opportunities to manage up present themselves. And we talked about our quotes, we talked about our books, and that's it. So we're done a little bit early tonight, and I think that that's perfectly acceptable. So unless there's anything else that anybody wants to talk about that's off topic.
Me.
Okay, go ahead.
Please, sorry. Rachel, you shared 3 books. Did you share 3 book titles?
I did. The Leaders Eat Last.
Okay.
And then The Way of the Wolf
Okay.
and Seducing Strangers.
Okay. I think it was the Leaders Eat Last one that I missed. Thank you.
You're welcome. You might also want to check out the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, Why Good Leaders Make You Feel Safe.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course. Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, you guys, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
I
Had
know.
I known, I'd have sent you a cake.
Oh, well, next year.
Do you
Happy
have
birthday.
plans?
Oh, we always do dinner with the family and the kids, and some years I feel like, it's like I'm at a kid's sport practice, and luckily tomorrow they're not, so we're gonna just all get to have dinner together, which will be perfect. So
That's super great. Fun.
yeah, and
Well,
then
enjoy it.
yeah, and then the whole Sunday brunch crew is getting together, so that'll be fun too. So,
Cool.
yeah. All right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I'll see you all soon.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Thank you. Thank you.